Let's drop it down to the college level now. Texas headed to the Big House to face Michigan tomorrow. The Longhorns, a 7-point favorite in Ann Arbor, the first time they've been favored against a top 10 team on the road since 2008 against Texas Tech. Right, Crabtree, anyone? Total for this one sits at 42.5, down 6 points from its opening at 48.5. Defense expected by the market. Let's welcome the big man at the Big House, Stanford Steve from Ann Arbor. Come on, thumbs up, Joseph. We love it. Steve, this line opened with Texas a smaller favorite. It's now up to a full touchdown plus an extra point. What do you make of the market reaction?
I think it's kind of normal what you see, guys, when you look at teams, what they look like week 1 to week 2. When you talk about Michigan, as much overturn on a roster as anybody in the country with all those guys drafted. The biggest advantage in this game is what Texas has starting at quarterback with Quinn Ewers and what Michigan has opposed with playing 2 guys. I thought Quinn Ewers was fantastic last week, getting a whole new set of toys and bringing those guys in. A transfer in Bond, a freshman in Wingo, a transfer in Nyblack. Bolden's another transfer. That's tough to do in this spot in this day and age where practice time's limited, and I thought Ewers was phenomenal. So I think it's a big advantage for Texas there. But Michigan can't be as bad as they were last week. Bad O-line play, lead backs getting blown up at goal line situations. That's stuff we haven't seen in Ann Arbor for 4 years. It was very eye-opening on tape. So I expect Michigan to be better. If I got to take a side here, I would look at Michigan if I'm getting more than a touchdown, maybe 8. Knowing what field goals and the way teams like to go for 2 early in games, that could be a difference. But if it gets to 8, I would take Michigan here.
So game opens Texas -5, immediately gets bet up to the key number of 7. What's interesting is it did get as high as 7.5, and that's where we saw the Michigan money. So we know where the Michigan buy point is. I disagree a little bit with Steve.
Yeah.
I'm not sure last week was a big anomaly for the Michigan offense. They really struggled in that game against Fresno State. And the offense and the final score looked better than it really was because you got an 86-yard pick six at the end of the game to add on to the score and a big Fresno State early in the first quarter that set up a Michigan score. I think what's going to happen here is simple. Michigan's going to want to run the ball, grind the clock, take the air out of the ball, slow down the game, and play good defense, which they're still capable of doing. You factor in the crowd noise, I think it's a lower scoring game. I'd look to the first half under 21.5. I think it might take Texas some time to get their feet wet and used to the environment. First big game on the road this season.
All right, another big non-conference matchup that involves a Big Ten team. Colorado and Nebraska, fellas. Joe, I want to start with you here. Colorado, a 6.5-point dog, but I will point out your boy, Coach Prime, 5-1 ATS in Boulder when he's been given points. So, Joe, do you trust the Buffs?
So you're supposed to like Prime as a dog. You're supposed to fade him as a favorite. This was 7. We saw Colorado money come in today, which has knocked it down to 6.5. I lean a little bit to Nebraska here for a couple reasons. Number one, Colorado's offensive line is not something I trust. Last year at home in this game, they gave up 7 sacks. On the road in Lincoln with that crowd noise, I think there are going to be serious miscommunications, big-time communication issues. Nebraska's going to be coming for them. Number 2, the Colorado defense. Do we trust them? They were at home against North Dakota State last week. They gave up 450 yards and 26 points to an FCS school. A good FCS school, but an FCS school. Matt Rule historically makes a big jump from year 1 to year 2. At Temple, he went 2-10, then 6-6. At Baylor, he went 1-11, and then 7-6. This is year 2 at Nebraska. They remember what happened last year. I wouldn't be surprised if they cover the number.
Steve, what say you?
I probably should have looked this up, guys, but when Coach Prime is coaching in a game, the underdog, whoever it is, covers all the time, it feels like. Whether he's an underdog or the other team when he's a favorite, as Joe pointed out. Listen, they're not going to be on the field at the same time, but the quarterbacks here with Raiola and Shador. Shador last week, I thought the arm strength has improved immensely. He looks stronger. He gets up after every hit. We saw that last year. I just love the moxie he brings to the table. I expect a ton of points, guys. I thought this number was going to be in the 60s. I really like the over. I love what Rule did in the transfer portal. Isaiah Nair, who we knew from Wyoming, went to Texas, tore his ACL, never really played there. And then Burke from Wake Forest. 2 stud veteran receivers to go with a true freshman quarterback. I expect points in Lincoln. I'm not sure about the point spread, but I like that over with those 2 teams, with those quarterbacks.
All right, good stuff from the big man, Stanford Steve and Ann Arbor. Looking forward to watching you on game day tomorrow with the squad. Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate you guys.